I hope that this CGC unboxing doesn't give me the bends. Hey there, today I have a CGC unboxing, and in this video I'm going to open up a 15 book submission that I routed through the Palm Beach presser. Another great set of books, a nice variety of newspaper print and some modern books that all went to Palm Beach Presser, who I regularly send my comics to. I recently interviewed the Palm Beach Presser, if you want to go back and check out that video as well. But I am concerned, and I'm not concerned with the pressing side of these books. I'm concerned about the books being graded at CGC and some of the issues that have been brought to my attention as far as either the pressure of the case, the way that the case is put together now to make it more tamper-proof. In my opinion, I think CGC has probably ended up fixing one problem and creating another. And a lot of what has been discussed and posted about online with regards to the books being inside the case and what the comics look like after they're encapsulated, a lot of my books look the same. They have some light waviness to it, maybe even some place along the spine that just has a light crease that, if I were grading these books, I may not even submit them for pressing or to CGC ultimately, just because I don't think that they are truly 9.8 candidates. To me, the books are kind of in that 8.5 to 9.4 range. But it really got me thinking, not so much like how do we keep solving this problem, but it's like, why do I keep sending books to CGC? I send my books to CGC exclusively and do not use any other professional grader. And I continue to choose CGC for a number of reasons, even though I know that the process is far from perfect. For me, it's about maximizing the value after grade, the presentation of the book after it's encapsulated, and the popularity of CGC, whether it's positive or negative. I don't have to really sell or talk about how great or poor CGC is. Everybody knows the name, everybody understands the company, and also there are far more collectors with bigger and greater collections than mine that are fully invested in CGC. And what I mean is simply that they've sent their very high-end books to CGC and they have a lot riding on the reputation of the company and the CGC slabs themselves holding value. Just like I've talked about in the past, where you have to kind of understand how speculators and a lot of these hype artists push books, and you have to kind of go in that direction because it's kind of free advertising for your comics. Yes, you want to avoid FOMO, but in some cases you can use these speculators who talk about comics and really hype and push value to create value in your own collection. And that's kind of the same way that I look at CGC. It's not that it's kind of an any press is good press situation. I think negative press can really hurt CGC. I was even chatting with Ron, the Palm Beach presser, about this, where maybe some folks want to wait on this and they don't want to have books at CGC that are actually part of this new encapsulation that could potentially be bending some of the comics that are creating some of these creases that ultimately may not affect the grade, but definitely affect the presentation. I don't think there's any argument there when you're looking at the comics and you see some of the waves in the books. It definitely affects the presentation. If it affects the grade, that's sort of the nuance and the details of being a professional grader and an amateur grader, where you're kind of guessing, was this a 9.6 and now it's a 9.4? Was it always a 9.8? But from a presentation perspective, you really can't deny that there's something going on there. Now, I'm very interested in unboxing these comics because I do want to see if these books are affected by this sort of updated process. And kind of back to my point really quick, although CGC is still the most popular professional grader, it does have a trickle-down effect where you have some collectors maybe taking a stand and just saying, I'm good with my graded books. I want to only collect raw going forward. I'm not going to submit some books to pressers. I want to wait and see maybe if CGC changes their process. Maybe they come out and make a statement that they're looking into this process and making changes. Maybe they won't make a statement at all. Maybe after some time has passed, things will kind of naturally improve. I really don't know, but it does affect some percentage of the hobby. But I still think just the overwhelming weight of the popularity of CGC, you just can't deny it, and that's why I keep sending books off for grading, because I don't have to oversell it. I don't have to market CGC. I just want to see the grades of my books, because there's so many other people that can do that for me. And it's the same thing when I'm collecting raw books, or if there's some sort of MCU news or a first appearance of a character from 20 years ago that's showing up in a book. Everyone else does all of that work for me. All I have to do is listen and pay attention and just see the direction of things and make sure that I'm being proactive with my collection, picking the right books at the right time, and understanding really who those primary influencers are when it comes to comic book collectability, value, and just in general, what are some really fun and cool books to collect. Now that I've said all of that, I want to get to the unboxing and show you the 15 books that I got graded. And I think that what I want to do is certainly look at the appearance of the book to kind of see, am I experiencing what others are with sort of the bending of some of these comics in the inner well. But the other theory is that there are certain graders that are harsher than others. And what I've noticed is if you do get a harsh grader, then all of your books are graded harshly. And if you get a more lenient grader, all of your books are also graded accordingly. And I've got one other book in here that has a little bit of a twist and story to it, and I'm interested to see what grade that book got. But first, let me get this opened up. As always, I don't look at the grades beforehand, so you'll be seeing the grades just a moment before I do. And I'll also talk about the Palm Beach Presser's predicted grades and grader notes as we go along. So it's finally time to unbox these 15 books that I just got back from CGC. All right, let's get to the comics. The first book is Red Sonja, number 4. This is from July of 1977. I'm almost positive I picked this book up at auction from Infinity Comics. And I guess if you're a Conan the Barbarian collector, you have to collect Red Sonja. This is issue number 4 from her first solo series. This book I graded myself as a 9.2. The Palm Beach Presser noted that there's a small tear at the top of the spine corner that will most likely limit the grade, and he predicted a 9.2 to a 9.4. And let's see the grade that it got, 9.6. Very good, wonderful. So good start, meaning I'm always looking for a grade bump, a grade increase. Obviously, 9.8 is the goal, but when I'm sending a book like this in a 9.2, I fully trust Palm Beach Presser to work his magic on the books, and I do enough analysis through my spreadsheet and analytics work and other research so that if I am sending in a book at a particular grade and I understand the potential to get 1, 2, or 3 grade bumps, that if it doesn't get a 9.8, it's still worth submitting the book. So I'm always happy to get a grade bump of any kind, even if it doesn't get the 9.8. This is a beautiful red and yellow color-themed Red Sonja book. Red Sonja, number 4. It's a gorgeous book all the way around. He did really, really nice work getting Red Sonja number 4 up to a 9.6, up from my amateur pre-screened grade of 9.2. All right, so good start. I would say let's wait and see the type of grader that I got. Did I get someone that was harsh or too lenient? But I trust my grading, and I also trust Palm Beach Presser's estimates, and that was above both. Next up is Amazing Spider-Man number 330. This is from 1990. This is the newsstand edition. Really, really great issue of Amazing Spider-Man. Cover art by Eric Larson. Got the Punisher on the cover. This is the newsstand edition. I thought this was a 9.4 when I sent this for pressing. Palm Beach's notes, there are no grader notes, but he did say that it's a 9.8 probable. Let's see what Amazing Spider-Man 330 got. Got a 9.2. So I knew I would jinx myself by saying, hey, I think that I got a better grade on this Red Sonja book than I had expected. And now this is a worse grade going in the wrong direction. So very small sample size to start here. But yeah, let me take a look. I do see a hairline spine tick that does slightly break color. Looks really nice otherwise. I don't see a lot of the bends or waves that I'm seeing in photos of other folks that are talking about the issue with the inner well and CGC. The book to me looks nice and sharp. I was saying with the Red Sonja book that a big part of why I send books in is because I do this analysis in terms of values to see if it's worth the additional investment. But all of that relies on me accurately grading the books. So when that happens and I get a 9.2 off of a book that I thought was a 9.4 that could get the bump all the way up to 9.8, I obviously really missed on that one. And then it becomes a situation where I'm going to end up taking a loss on a book like that because I misgraded a book, I missed something, I don't quite know. Hopefully there's some notes or I can further investigate and see why that one didn't get a 9.8. But that was a situation that I needed at least a 9.4 in order to make that submission worthwhile. And so since I went backwards on the grade, that one's tough. Let's move on to the next one. Amazing Spider-Man 333. This is from June of 1990. This is also a newsstand edition of ASM 333. No grader notes on this. I pre-screened this as a 9.6. Palm Beach Presser said it's a 9.8 probable. I'm nervous because it's very similar to ASM 330, but let's take a look at the grade. And, yep, 9.4. So this is not looking good. Really, it's already starting to make me a little sick just because all three of these grades are all over the place. I mean, maybe the grader hates newsstands. I don't know, but to get a 9.4 on that one, same story as the 9.2 on 330. So definitely unfortunate. I had pre-screened that as a 9.4. That one will have some value in a 9.4, but obviously not as much if I had a 9.8 of that book in a newsstand. Let's keep moving on. Another ASM book, Amazing Spider-Man 279. This is from 1986. I pre-screened this book as a 9.4. I don't know why, but I've always loved these Where is Spider-Man books. This was a little bit of a crossover that ran through Spectacular Web and Amazing Spider-Man with Silver Sable, Jack-o'-lantern here on the cover. Just always loved this kind of cover and font design. Now, I gave this a 9.4 and I sent it to Palm Beach Presser, and he did leave some notes on this one. He said, tiny color-breaking ticks on the back edge and a light blunting of the bottom spine corner on the back. And he said he gave it a 9.6 plus. So if he's right, I did get the grade bump, but let's see the grade that CGC gave it. And yep, I think we know where this submission is headed. 9.4 on this one. Yeah, I'm trying to stay positive here. We're only 4 books in, and it's something I'm thinking about where I'm sending these very large submissions. Large to me, 12 to 15 books. I know others will send 25, 50 at a time and things like that. But I think what I'm learning is it might be beneficial to send only like 6 to 8 books at a time and hope you get different graders. I really don't know what the strategy. I also don't want to think this way either. I want to send these books to CGC and get a fair grade no matter who grades them, but I feel like now I'm sort of playing this game. So let's keep playing, and moving on to the next one, Uncanny X-Men 191. This is from 1985. This was a book that I had pre-screened as a 9.4. Palm Beach Presser left his predicted grade as a 9.2 or 9.4, and noted some soft corners, small bindery tear, another tiny crease on the bottom back corner, a little bit of color loss, and some other issues on the spine. So let's see what this ended up as. 9.4, so no grade bump on this one. I've always enjoyed this John Romita Jr. cover, and it's also the first appearance of Nimrod. So kind of a major key if you're an X-Men fan with the first appearance of Nimrod in that one. Got to keep moving forward. We've got Batman 298. This is from 1978. Now, this one I knew was not a 9.8 candidate, but again, when I ran the numbers, it just felt like it was worth sending in to try and get an increase on the grade. I had pre-screened this book as a 9.2. Palm Beach Presser noted that there's a light eraser-sized spot stain on the back bottom edge. One tiny color-breaking tick on the front of the book, and that there is a minor stain, but he noted that he's seen some big deductions in grade for stains. And let's see what CGC gave Batman 298, 9.2. So it's definitely hitting my pre-screened grade. I'm just not getting any condition increase, or I even overgraded them. I mean, maybe this was an 8.5 and the pressing brought it up to a 9.2. And I see what he's saying about the minor staining, so that could have been part of what brought the grade down. But just, man, hopefully the second half of this submission will recover, but it's not looking good. Just got to keep going forward. Amazing Spider-Man, number 260 from 1985. Also a newsstand edition, right in my wheelhouse with Hobgoblin on the cover as far as when I used to collect and read Amazing Spider-Man when I was a kid. Let's look at the grader notes on this one. I had assessed this book as a 9.2. Palm Beach noted that there's some light wear of spine corners. He actually said 9.8 possible. Let's see. 9.6. Yeah, I mean, book looks great. It could have gotten a 9.8. I mean, it's borderline. I really don't know what to say. I mean, I did this whole build-up around the potential kind of case manufacturing or case issues with CGC and how it's potentially damaging the books from the inside after it's encapsulated. These books look great. I don't see the specific bending or compression that these books might be receiving. Next is Catwoman 75. This is from 2008. This issue, number 75, is part of the Adam Hughes cover run of Catwoman. And I do apologize. I feel like I'm just kind of ripping through these to get through them, but that's kind of how I'm feeling at the moment. Catwoman 75, I had assessed as a 9.4. Palm Beach left no grader notes and said 9.8 probable. What do you know? It's a 9.8. There we go. At least I got one. Just a gorgeous Adam Hughes cover here on Catwoman 75. So put that one up, display it prominently, just like I know what I'm doing. Next, we have Psylocke number 2. This is from 2010. Awesome cover art by David Finch. I have issue number 1. Was considering getting the whole limited series of Psylocke. And issue 2, I had pre-screened this book myself as a 9.2. No grader notes from Palm Beach. He did say 9.8 probable on this one. And it got a 9.8. All right, so a little bit of a comeback here. Really nice. Can't wait to display this next to issue 1. So let's cover up some of these 9.2s and 9.4s with 9.8. All right, I'm feeling a little bit better. Although the difference is, of course, these two would be considered like traditional moderns, the non-newspaper print books, and the rest were pre-2000. So maybe this particular grader has different standards depending on the type of book or the structure of the paper. I have no idea. I'm just guessing. This is Twisted Tales number 1 from 1982. I had recently opened up an order from Mile High Comics where I had picked up a run of Twisted Tales, trying to buy it in what I was calling the off-season, which is just away from the month of October and the fall, to try and pick up some of these horror genre books, underground horror books that I just recently became interested in, but always ended up buying these in October and overpaying, so I tried to buy them during the off-season. This book looked really good to me. I had pre-screened this myself as a 9.2. Palm Beach said there's a minor blunt of the bottom spine corner seen from the back, but predicted a 9.8 possible grade on this one. And let's check it out. Twisted Tales number 1, getting a 9.8. All right, this is very nice. And it does look really, really great in this blue label with the 9.8 grade. But this is nice. This will look really nice next to some of the other Pacific Comics and other horror books that I have, as the season, Halloween and the fall is right around the corner here. So not bad here to get a few 9.8s in a row. Very cool. Twisted Tales number 1. I think I have another Twisted Tales book here. Here it is. Twisted Tales number 2. This is from 1983. And what I ended up doing was I think I picked up about 6 issues of Twisted Tales from Mile High Comics, assessed all of them, and just picked what I thought had the best chance to get an improvement with a press. This one too, I'll be honest, I probably decided to send this in because of the Bernie Wrightson cover, as this one has a little bit more intrigue and value because he did the cover on this one. And I did pre-screen this myself as a 9.2, And Palm Beach has a decent set of notes on this one. He said there's a non-cleanable light, blemishes. He said either soiling or some light staining on the front cover, wear at the bottom spine corner with slight color lift. And then I had noted that this book I thought had a bindery tear on it, and he said it may have not been. So this could be another situation where I just assessed the book incorrectly. He did give a predicted grade of a 9.2, 9.4. So let's see if I did get any increase up from a 9.2. All right, so now I'm really confused. The first half of this submission, it felt like the books were just so harshly assessed, and just the grader was just overly critical of the book. I can't really follow what's going on right now. I don't know if I've ever seen the level of detail that the Palm Beach presser included on a book before, where he was just pointing out, hey, there's some things going on with this book that you probably missed. And then lo and behold, this is the one that gets a 9.8, whereas others, he and I are both looking at it going, yep, 9.8 candidate, and it's getting a 9.2 and a 9.4. So really hard for me to follow what's going on. But this is awesome to get Twisted Tales #2, the Bernie Wrightson cover, getting a 9.8. So that was a really nice score there, especially when you go back and watch the Mile High Comics unboxing to see what I paid for those. That ended up being a really nice deal. Here's Teen Titans #8. This is from 2004. This is another book that I find at Mile High Comics. Every now and then, there's a certain book that always shows up for the same price. I was doing this for a while with, I think it was X Infernus #1, another great David Finch book with magic on the cover. She's got like an alternate persona, Darkchild. And they would always list the book in mint condition for, I don't know, it was like $8, something like that. And I would buy a copy every time I placed an order. So this was kind of the same thing. I had multiple copies of Teen Titans #8. Love this one with Raven on the cover. And I had assessed this book as a 9.6, just needing a press to get it up to a 9.8. And let's see, it did get a 9.8. All right, so again, coming back around, I'm hoping for a strong finish here. Really nice. Let's cover that 9.6. And really happy to get that one in a 9.8. It's one of those books that it's not really any sort of major key, so it's kind of a 9.8 or bust on that one. But with my original assessment as a 9.6, then it made sense to send that one in. All right, we have a few more to go here. Next is Silk #1. This is the David Nakayama variant cover. This is a retailer incentive. This is the book that I teased in the intro of having a little bit of a story. And the basic story is I sent this in through a pre-screen and it got rejected, and was really disappointed because if I'm sending books in through a pre-screen, I like to send a lot of incentives through the 9.8 pre-screen, and it was rejected. Looked at the book, didn't see a ton wrong with it, couldn't quite figure out why, and thought this would be better than just putting it as a 9.4 and putting it back in my bin. I thought, let's try and see if I can send this off for pressing, and maybe whatever prevented it from getting a 9.8, maybe sending it to Palm Beach Presser could get that bump. So this was a reject. I had just given it a 9.6 just because it didn't get a 9.8. Palm Beach did note that there's some tiny wear at the top spine corner, but he still said 9.8 probable, and let's see what it got. And it got the 9.8. All right. A happy ending on this one. This was the one book that I was really interested in getting back. I believe this is the first 9.8 pre-screen reject that I've ever sent back in. Now, I didn't send it back in straight away. When I sent it in originally, I did not have it pressed, so I understand it's a little bit different. I should have just gotten it pressed before and sent through, I understand, but it looked like a 9.8 by itself. But thank you, Palm Beach, for working on this one. I love this cover. One of my favorite David Nakayama covers featuring Silk. Love this one. Really happy to get a 9.8 on that. All right, couple more to go. Next is the Extreme Venomverse #1 from 2023. This is the Lenio Francis Yu Virgin Edition. This was just in a stack of books that I had as a 9.6, just needing that press, like a couple of these others that I felt like were very, very close, but I didn't feel comfortable sending them in as a pre-screen on their own. And of course, the lesson learned with Silk #1 is send these books to Palm Beach first before sending them in the pre-screen. But nevertheless, felt like this was a pretty strong 9.8 candidate that just needed that press. So I had pre-screened this myself as a 9.6. Palm Beach left no greater notes other than 9.8 probable. And let's see. And it did, in fact, get the 9.8. Love Lenio Francis Yu. Been a fantastic artist and contributor for Marvel Comics for many years now. So very awesome to get this retailer incentive back in a 9.8. And the last book is, or I guess last but not least, we have this really awesome Art Germ Scarlet Witch cover on X-Men, The Trial of Magneto #1 from 2021, on the label noted as the Art Germ Collectibles Pure Art Edition. Kind of the same explanation as the previous book, Extreme Venomverse, where I just didn't feel comfortable sending it in for a pre-screen or grading as is. I wanted to have Palm Beach Presser work on this book for me. I had pre-screened this one myself as a 9.6. There are no greater notes other than 9.8 probable. And let's see, X-Men, The Trial of Magneto #1. All right, finishing strong at 9.8. Just a beautiful, gorgeous cover. Love collecting Art Germ books, particularly his pure art or full art variants. I have one behind me here featuring Magic. That was one also that Palm Beach had worked on. So really displaying these all together in a theme, it just looks really cool. And this is one too. Art Germ did, I think, another cover of Scarlet Witch this year, and it was a big retailer incentive. And when I saw that one, I remembered this one from a few years ago and realized I didn't have it, and found this for a great deal while everyone was chasing the new book. And so I think as time goes on, when you have some of these artists like Art Germ, David Nakayama, a lot of these modern artists, I like to go back a few years because a lot of times they're trying to create covers for different characters, but they'll kind of go back and revisit some of those characters. And you can get some of those that maybe were recently released but maybe overlooked for a better deal than the brand new one. That was the CGC submission. Really odd. I guess I'll apologize for kind of having this disappointed negative attitude. I was really ready to just kind of give up on this submission after the first 4 or 5 books, just thinking that the grading was really harsh. I don't want to always come off like if I don't get a 9.8, then it's CGC's fault. This is all a learning process. This is me just making sure that I'm not just sending books off for pressing and grading just for the fun of it or just because. I need to be as accurate and as precise with my grading as possible to make all of this work. So clearly with some of those earlier books in this submission, I just need to be better at really not just finding the defects, but being honest with the book. A lot of times if I'm screening a book and I'm looking at things, do I want the book to be in a 9.8 so badly that maybe I overlook it or just assume that Palm Beach will take care of it when maybe it's really not a defect that can be resolved. So these are just kind of the things that it's just a reminder to, I mean, I'm spending a lot of money dealing with this. This hobby can be very expensive at times. And that's the whole point, is making the wisest decisions with your money and showing you examples of books that I think are worth sending in for grading. So some of these books early on, those ASM newsstands, yes, they didn't hit a 9.8, but those are books that I think would be interesting to be on the lookout for. When you see those books raw and really understand the value in a 9.8, I mean, there's definitely a reason why I send all of these books in. And I'll continue to be on the lookout for some better copies to get those graded in the future. Let me know what you think about this submission. How did I do? But all in all, I do not believe any of these books really appear to have some of the inner well bending or damaging or crushing that I think is going around right now. So that's a good sign. I would say ultimately this submission wants me to keep going with CGC. And I highly recommend getting your books pressed by Palm Beach Presser or any professional presser that you have a good working relationship with. I do think ultimately it makes a difference. Even if some of these books didn't get a 9.8, it's still nice knowing that, in my opinion, the book got the maximum grade possible because of that additional investment. Thanks for watching, happy collecting, and see you next time.